In NASCAR Grand National Stock Car Racing, this man, Richard Petty, is the unquestioned king of the road with 171 Grand National victories. But apparently no man can have it all because Richard Petty has never been able to win a Firecracker 400. He has been second 4 successive years, but he's never been able to win it primarily because of this man, David Pearson. For David Pearson has won this race 3 successive times, and in 1974, the Petty-Pearson duel provided us with one of the most unusual and exciting moments in racing history. Jackie Stewart and I were here to watch it. Now it is 1 year later as the starting field of 40 cars moves off the grid for the 17th running of the Firecracker 400. And my goodness, there has certainly been conversation over the Petty-Pearson duel in this particular race. And the crowd, better than 60,000, is on hand to watch as we get ready for the Firecracker. Hello, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson. The Firecracker 400 run in the middle of summer, a time of testing for both cars and drivers. Of course, everybody talks about the Petty-Pearson situation. They dominate everything, it seems, these days. But there are a lot of people sitting at the front of the pack, a lot of people in the middle of the pack, who may have the equipment and certainly have the desire and temper to knock off the Petty-Pearson tandem. But the heat, that's always a factor here in Florida this time of the year because it saps both car and driver. Let's get a comment from our expert commentator, Jackie Stewart, world driving champion and winner of 27 Grand Prix. Jackie, the heat in Florida this time of the year has got to be a problem.
Yes, Keith, it is. Of course, this is a slightly shorter race. It's a 400-mile race instead of the usual 500. But in July, it's a great deal warmer than it is in February for the 500 that we covered earlier. I think it's going to affect the drivers. A man like Richard Petty, a big man, may lose as much as 8 or 10 pounds in weight just through nervous energy and perspiration. The cars, however, are going to lose something as well. Because what does occur is that when cars draft, the temperature gauges go right up in this hot summer sun. And certainly we're going to see a lot of attrition mechanically.
Now we are in the pace lap. Chris Economaki is also with us. We'll hear from him in just a few minutes. Let's set the front of the pack for you. Donnie Allison sits on the pole. On the front row with him outside, Buddy Baker. In row number 2, it's David Pearson and Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip has a win now in 1975. In row number 3, it'll be Dave Marcus and Richard Brooks, a couple of young Chargers. And moving back into the pack, it'll be Benny Parsons, who won the Daytona 500 this year, along with Bobby Allison. Lenny Pond and A.J. Foyt, 9th and 10th on the grid. A.J. Foyt starting in the number 10 position. Then it's Richie Pants and Cale Yarborough. And back in number 13 position, Richard Petty and Cuckoo Marlin. The field is clean and sanitary. The pace car has pulled off. It is up to the starter now to decide whether we'll go racing. The temperature now in the middle 80s, but it's a hazy day. It may stay comfortable for us. We'll see. The field is in good shape as they turn down toward the start-finish line. All eyes on the starter. There's the green, and we're running.
Like a slow start. They came up slowly, but now they're off, and there's cars all over the racetrack as they go into turn 1. There's a lot of movement in the traffic there, Keith.
Donnie Ellison, the pole sitter, sitting on the pole at better than 186 miles an hour, makes a bid for and gets the lead going through turn number 1. Buddy Baker is right there, and we've got yellow lights on around the racetrack as one of the cars has pulled off. So I think that's the earliest yellow we've ever had, and it's Johnny Rutherford in car number 83. Off the start, runs into trouble, and he has to leave the field, and they immediately snap on the yellow light and slow him down. They'll continue to race as they come around and get the yellow flag at the start-finish line. But off the first lap, we're running under yellow. At the beginning of the Firecracker 400, we'll be back for the restart in just a moment. All right, Chris, now we look back to the track, and we've got a green flag, and we are racing at the Daytona International Motor Speedway in the Firecracker 400. Your leader is Buddy Baker in a Ford, number 15, with Donnie Allison in a Chevy sitting behind him. A.J. Foyt and Cale Yarborough in Chevys have made big moves. As A.J. has jumped all the way to 3rd place, Cale is running 4th. Then you come to Richard Brooks, David Pearson, and Bobby Allison.
They're certainly going high in the banking there, and you've got Buddy Baker. My goodness, Buddy's taking quite a lead there. He's got Donnie Allison behind him, but Buddy's really standing on it. He's a big, strong man, and he's certainly got it all the way to the floor right now.
We might also note that the temperature has not climbed much as we anticipated. It's kind of a hazy day here at Daytona Beach, and it may remain comfortable throughout the race of 400 miles as Donnie Allison closes in on Buddy Baker. Now you see way back in the pack, as we're not far from having our first lapping. You've got a whole bunch of them, but right now you've got Baker and Allison, and Donnie is giving Buddy what you'd call a massage. He's right on him.
Donnie hasn't won much recently. He's been having a bad time with mechanical troubles, but he certainly would love to win the 400 today. He's certainly very close. He's high up in the race, both racetracks being used all the way up there, both cars really using it. And look how he's tucked in right now. It looks as if he's really pushing him, and of course this aerodynamically helps a great deal, really pushing the other car forward.
It is dramatic and it's pretty to watch, and technically it's correct, but you've got to realize that it takes nerves of steel and trust in one another in order to run a racetrack at better than 180 miles that close together. And now we get A.J. Foyt tucking in behind Donnie Allison in third place, and Cale Yarborough is right behind him. So you've got a Ford being pursued right now by 3 Chevys. A.J. is moving into the slipstream posture along with Yarborough. If they decide to exercise slingshot, it is possible to come from third and fourth place and make a big, bold move, particularly on that 3,400-foot back straight. But Baker in that Ford seems to have a lot of power. He was a winner at Talladega earlier this year, and we know that his machine has plenty of power if it's handling right.
But A.J. Foyt looks as if he's got a bit of power. There he is. A.J.'s into second spot now. Car number 28, the red car, your screen there, really going high up in the banking there. A.J. Foyt, who'd won in Pocono just a few days ago, really, is now in NASCAR racing, really performing as usual. A very versatile driver.
We might note that another USAC winner, Johnny Rutherford, went out on the very first lap. Gerald Waltrip had some gear trouble, and he's back on the racetrack now, and A.J. slips out from behind. Buddy Baker moves up alongside of him, making a bid for the lead. Can he get it? He's got his nose in front at this particular point, but he can't do it, as Baker just beats him off.
But A.J. doesn't make it. In fact, he slipped past, and Cale Yarborough's taken over second position. He was in the wrong part of the racetrack. He scrubbed off speed. He certainly lost an advantage there.
So it settles for just a moment up front, but Donnie Allison takes a run at A.J. and trying to move him out of the number 3 position, but Foyt up high holds third place as Baker leads and Yarborough runs in second place. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate Billie Jean King for having won the Wimbledon Women's Singles Championship for a 6th time. Great victory for her. She says it may conclude her major singles tennis competition. The Daytona International Motor Speedway. We'll be right back here in just a moment. All right, let's set the front runners again for you. It's a Ford with Buddy Baker up in front, number 15, A.J. Foyt, and a Chevy, number 28, behind him. Then comes Donnie Allison, Cale Yarborough, Richard Brooks hanging right in there. David Pearson still cooling it. A.J. moves up alongside Buddy. Looks like he wants to take the lead away from him if he can. He's tried it now on 2 other occasions, has not been able to do it, and he's not able to do it this time either. Benny Parsons, Daytona 500 winner, has also moved up into this lead pack. Car number 72, we may hear from him later, picking up a timing here to give you some idea of how fast they're going, and we're guessing the time has to be up over 180 miles an hour. And again, I'll say the temperature is quite comfortable so far today. Here in the Firecracker 400, it can be insufferably hot, but looks like we're going to luck out today as the weather continues rather cool. Donnie Allison started on the pole at better than 186 miles an hour, and we now see A.J. Foyt move up again, moving out of the slipstreaming or the drafting position, moves up alongside Buddy Baker. Baker's sure had a lot of pressure put on him today, but so far he has been imperturbable. He has just simply been running his own race, and the car is performing very well for him. But you can see you have a very tight 4-car pack drafting right there. Now, on that timing, 49.5 seconds will translate at better than 181.8 miles an hour. Johnny Rutherford, we noted, out of the race on the very first lap. Chris Economaki has Johnny with him.
John, your Daytona luck is probably the worst of any visiting driver. What was it today? Well, Chris, just as I reached up to pull the car into 4th gear on the start to get ready to really get with it, the gear shift handle hit me right in the palm. Just a real good shot in the transmission. It just exploded out the bottom of the car.
All right, Johnny Rutherford. A.J. Foyt slipping right in behind Buddy Baker. He won't turn him loose, and A.J. taking a run at him. He's got the slingshot going, and this time A.J. moves into the lead. So A.J. Foyt, coming off just a few days ago a victory at Pocono, has the lead in the Firecracker 400. Before the race started today, Chris Economaki talked with the tough Texan. Here's what he had to say.
What about starting way back the way you are, Jay? You had trouble qualifying?
Well, not really. We had a spark plug wire come off, and we qualified 10th. But like I've always said, you can start anywhere in any of these fields and win the race.
But AJ's lead is short-lived as Buddy Baker blows right on by him and regains the lead.
But AJ's really trying. He's all over the racetrack. He's high in the banking, he's low in the banking, he's really scrubbing that car around. And of course this affects the car because tire temperatures go up, and when that happens, the car's handling does change. So AJ's got to balance this out, and it isn't easy.
Here's Cale Yarborough making a move, get back in the challenge for the leadership as he moves up alongside Donnie Allison, taking a run at him in the turn, and he's down low. Looks like he's going to get it, and he does. And here's Richard Petty on pit road. Richard Petty running 12th in the field has hit pit road. Chris Economic is in the area.
The big question, Keith, is why Petty makes this early stop. It's about 10 laps before he should be stopping for fuel. It's going to put his pit stops out of phase. He's asked for tires on the left and the right side, so apparently that's the key to the problem. His car is not handling well, so he's come in for a complete tire change, but significantly now, Petty falls a lap down. And to be one lap down in a race like this is in serious trouble. So Petty, who has had so many years of trying to win the Firecracker 400, now is under severe handicap, one lap down as he goes back out on the track. Earlier, Jackie talked with Richard this morning.
Richard, are you superstitious?
Not really.
13th in this position neither means good luck or bad luck to you?
Well, I told him I've run about, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 races down here, something like that, and I've started from every position but 13. So I'm going to try that and see if I can win with that.
Maybe that's the combination.
That might be.
The leader, Buddy Baker, car number 15, looks a little loose as he works his way through traffic coming down low. David Pearson, car number 21, working well through the traffic, has moved up into the number 2 position now. A.J. Foyt is third, Benny Parsons 4, followed by Cale Yarborough here in the Firecracker 400. We'll be back here in Daytona in a little while for more coverage of the Firecracker 400. But right now, let's enjoy another kind of festival. You know, this is the time of year when people go outdoors and have themselves a lot of fun. An event seen earlier on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the Lumberjack Festival, including the World Lumberjack Championships held every year in Hayward, Wisconsin. I've been there. I really enjoyed it. So let's have a look at what the Lumberjacks can do in the North Woods of Wisconsin. We'll see the conclusion of the World Lumberjack Championships from Hayward, Wisconsin a little later, but right now we're back at Daytona International Motor Speedway racing in the Firecracker 400. David Pearson in car number 21 has the lead, followed by A.J. Foyt, Buddy Baker, and David Pearson pulling down. He may be headed for pit road, and he is. I might note, too, that Bobby Allison has gone out of the race. So the leader, Pearson, is in. A.J. Foyt takes over the lead. Let's join Chris.
Dominated so many stock car races, is bringing his Purelator Mercury in for the Wood Brothers, the most famous pit crew in racing. There's a piece of paper over his nose piece. We wonder if they'll get that off. Again, it's the famous Wood Brothers crew. Right side tires, a windshield cleaning job, and now there's only so many men allowed over the pit. They see the thing on the nose, but yet no one has gotten it. No one has taken it off yet. Now left side tires are being changed. As this pit crew, the greatest pit team in racing, getting David Pearson on his way back out on the track, and certainly very fast time as that number 21 car goes back on the raceway. One-stop service of the highest order. 4 tires, fuel, a drink for the driver, and other sundry maintenance taken care of in the pits here at Daytona.
But pieces of paper in front of the radiator like that can mean murder to an engine. It really can kill an engine because overheating can take place. And when that happens, it's bad for engines. But A.J. Foyt's coming into the pits. The red car number 28's coming in, and look, his rear wheels are locked up, smoke pouring off his rear wheels as A.J. brings the car into his mechanics, who, of course, are ready for him.
So A.J. Foyt surrenders the lead. That puts Buddy Baker back in front. We might also note that Richard Petty, during these pit stops, has unlapped himself. So Petty is now running on the same lap as the leaders. But this man, driving car number 21, David Pearson, has suddenly now moved up into the thick of things and become an ominous figure. Let's go back to February, Daytona 500, 1975. Believe it or not, David Pearson has never won the Daytona 500, but this year he had it in hand, the car on the right there. He decided to go in between Cale Yarborough and Richie Panch with just 3 laps to go and a 17-second lead over Benny Parsons. He tapped Yarborough, broke his car loose from the racetrack, spun out of it, and that long-sought victory at Daytona was suddenly gone again for David Pearson. Earlier today, Jackie talked with David.
What sort of little tricks have you got up your sleeve this year, David?
Well, I don't know. In fact, we have to just wait and, see how the race goes along and see if I am in position to try to outsmart some of the other guys or out-trick them. So right now, I'm just worried about trying to finish right now.
But he certainly had his good share of fortune in the Firecracker 400. We've got a spin up at the turn 4 area. David Sisko in car number 5 and Richie Panch in car number 98, both spinning out of it. Sisko's car comes to rest safely on the grass. So does Panch. They did not make contact. They just both spun. It looks like Panch is going to be able to keep going. He's flattened his tires, though, and he'll have to come in. But it does bring out the yellow flag. And your leader right now is Buddy Baker. So the yellow is out. And we'll be back with more in a moment. Here at the Daytona International Motor Speedway, the Firecracker 400 continues to thunder along. Your leader is Buddy Baker in car number 15, followed by David Pearson. And then comes Cale Yarborough, the red car on the left. That's A.J. Foyt. He has just been lapped by Buddy Baker. Now he's trying to fight off David Pearson to keep from going a lap down to him. So A.J. Foyt now slowing down some, trying to hang on and keep the leaders in sight. The temperature remains comfortable, middle 80s on this particular day for a Firecracker 400. And a fellow whose name is beginning to show up among the leaders, driving car number 43, Richard Petty. Petty, having unlapped himself during that succession of pit stops under the yellow flag, is running in the number 4 position. A.J. Foyt actually running 5, and A.J. ducks into pit road and makes a stop. Looks like windscreen trouble. Let's check in with Chris.
Well, it is windshield trouble. They're going to have to make a change, Keith. Also, we may have overheating problems. They're turning a hose on that windshield. This is double trouble for the 3-time Indianapolis winner, because this change will put him another lap down, and it may knock any chance of victory out for A.J. Foyt.
If he can get it done within a lap out on the racetrack, it is still Baker and Pearson having at it. It's Ford, Mercury, Chevy, and Dodge running in that particular position right now. That's Donnie Allison in car number 88. That's a Chevy, but he is now a lap down to the leader. So Donnie, though he is running right in behind David Pearson there, is a lap down in the number 5 spot. The leader is Buddy Baker, and he's running right along, but he's getting pressure from Pearson. Meantime, they continue to struggle along pit road with A.J. Foyt.
Well, here's Foyt. They're still working on the car. The USAC visitors had real trouble. Rutherford is out. Saul Walther is also out of the race. Others who have dropped out already are Bruce Jacoby, Dave Sisko, Cuckoo Marlin, Bobby Allison, Brent Adcox, Lenny Pond, and G.C. Spencer.
Richard Petty running in 4th spot. Relationship here from 4th to 1st. Cale Yarborough is running 3rd. David Pearson 2nd. And the leader right there in car number 15 is Buddy Baker. So Richard Petty remains very much a figure. He's always a figure here in these jousts at Daytona. If you like NASCAR Grand National Stock Car Racing, July 19, they run in Nashville, Tennessee. August 3rd, Pocono, Pennsylvania. August 10th in Talladega, Alabama. Buddy Baker sailing along, getting a massage from David Pearson. We'll have more of the Firecracker 400 in a little while, but right now let's go back to the North Woods of Wisconsin and the conclusion of the World Lumberjack Championships. All right, this is Keith Jackson along with Jackie Stewart, Chris Economaki at Daytona International Motor Speedway and the Firecracker 400, and we're heading downhill in the 1975 400. Buddy Baker continues to lead in car number 15 of Ford. Right behind him, the Mercury, number 21, David Pearson. Then comes the Dodge with number 43, Richard Petty, and Dave Marcus, number 71, has moved up into the number 4 position, having unlapped himself.
That's right, and he's trying to keep ahead of the cars there. You can see the red car is Dave Marcus trying to get past. He's trying to go one side, then the other side, but he's in front of the cars that are leading this race, and this must be a concern to them, because they've got to keep clear of any sort of trouble that could crop up at this time. And of course, you've got the big man, Buddy Baker, in the lead at this time. The car below there, he's trying to get through underneath another car, and behind him, of course, is David Pearson, the man who threatens everybody. And there goes David Pearson trying to get the lead, and he's got the lead from Buddy Baker.
Pearson slingshots Baker to get the lead, and Richard Petty now will pull right along in behind Buddy Baker. Each of these leaders will have one more pit stop to go, at least one, but David Pearson now has moved back into the lead, and Cale Yarborough, who ran among the leaders earlier in the race, is now out of it. So we've got still a good field running. We've got better than 20 cars running at this particular point in the race. Your leader right now is David Pearson. We'll have more from Daytona in a moment. We're nearing the time for what should be the final pit stops for our front runners, and the pursuers have dropped way back behind David Pearson. Look at the distance that David Pearson has just all of a sudden been able to pick up on Buddy Baker and Richard Petty. And now Baker's slowing even more as Petty's coming up alongside and goes into 2nd place. So Buddy Baker definitely has some kind of a problem as he's dropped from 2nd back to 3rd. And now Petty is setting out in pursuit of Pearson, but David has a very big lead at this particular time. Look at it. Now, we know each of these men must make another pit stop in order to take on fuel, and what else they do in those pit stops may have significant meaning as well. Buddy Baker obviously is going to be hunting the pit road because he has dropped so much off the pace. And Baker now is going down pit road as Pearson runs way out in front. So Baker is on his way to his pit. Chris Economac is in the area.
Well, this is going to be a key pit stop as the Butmore crew goes to work, and it's right side tires they're going to give Buddy Baker, so he'll be able to race for the final laps of this Firecracker 400. It's a fast pit crew. He should be going out in just a moment. He'll have fresh rubber on the right side of the car, and there he goes.
So Baker is out in good shape, and Jackie, David Pearson's blowing smoke.
There's oil smoke coming out the back of David Pearson's car. What a disappointment for David Pearson after taking the lead the way he did in a dramatic way. But the oil smoke seems to have stopped for a moment. This perhaps could not be the trouble we think it is, but he's coming into the pits. He must have a problem, Keith. He's coming in for a look.
And that means Richard Petty has taken the lead. That means Richard Petty, who has never won in all of his 171 Grand National victories, has never claimed a victory in the Firecracker 400. But let's see right here what happens to David Pearson. Chris, how about you?
Well, we're seeing they're checking things. They're looking at his tires. One of the crewmen is talking with David. They're not giving him any rubber. It may be a case of go for as far as it'll go, but they've given him no rubber. He's not really set up to race to the end.
Meantime, this man, Richard Petty, has to be thinking about a pit stop. His crew's already given him the sign. He has the lead. David Pearson's car looks sick. Here comes Petty down pit road. Now that should put Buddy Baker back into the lead. So let's watch what goes on in the Petty pit area. And again, go to Chris.
Okay, Richard Petty pulling up here to a stop. Let's see what his crew gives him in addition to fuel. Rubber, of course, but this time it's left side rubber. Not right. Let's see if they change all four. It looks as though they're going to concentrate only on the left side. These seconds are ticking away. They're going to have to get him back out there in a moment. And Petty chooses left side rubber on his final pit stop of the race. There he goes.
A great pit stop. They top the tank, go left side tires. Remember that now. Baker took right side and Petty took left side. And David Pearson is cooking. He's done.
Yeah, there's oil smoke now. I'm afraid this looks the end of the line for David Pearson because it's quite a lot of smoke this time. And he's coming in. Well, there's not going to be any repeat of the sensational finish we saw here last year, but I'm afraid it looks like the end of the race for him. David Pearson is coming into the pits once again.
We're going to have some kind of a finish, though, Jackie, because we got two old horses out there that have bumped bumpers with each other and banged door handles over every racetrack where Grand National Racing is held. Buddy Baker driving that Ford number 15 and Richard Petty in 43 Dodge.
Here's Pearson in the pits again, and this time it's an engine problem. He's had it. They're going to push the car behind the wall. A tough break for David. We'll try and get a word with him later.
Okay, Chris. So David Pearson is gone, but we still have that familiar joust that seems to always pop up here at Daytona. Now the question becomes, Jackie, as to whether or not Buddy Baker still has the dominant horsepower in his car. Does he still have the handling, or has Petty improved?
It seems to me that the Petty's been going through the entire day in a way of consistency. He's been driving around the same sort of speed, but there's the car being driven out that everybody wanted to see doing well. It's the Mercury car being put behind the pits.
The battle goes on between Buddy Baker and Richard Petty. David Pearson is gone. Here's Chris with him.
David, no celebrations today, huh?
Well, of course, we don't know what it was. They started throwing oil out. We don't know where's the valve cover or what it was.
You were really competitive. You think you'd have won her?
Well, yeah, we felt like we were in real good shape to win the race. There last night we got a chance to say I got to where I could run pretty good, so I just started to go on.
A tough break. Better luck next time, David.
Well, thank you.
He'll be back, you know that. We'll have the finish in just a moment. Now our story in this 17th annual Firecracker 400 boils down to a couple of North Carolinians, former teammates. Buddy Baker from Charlotte, big Buddy, 6'4", better than 200 pounds. Lanky Richard Petty from Level Cross, North Carolina, driving car number 43. Two men who have driven all over this country in Grand National stock cars. Richard Petty has never won, remember, the Firecracker 400. Buddy Baker's career has not been marked with the success of a Richard Petty. For Petty goes into this race today at 171 Grand National victories. A comment now from Jackie Stewart on the relationship of these two wise veterans.
Well, first of all, you would have to recognize there would be a disadvantage in the hands of Buddy Baker at this time, because to have on his heels the most experienced and winning driver in NASCAR must be very off-putting, even though they're good friends, even though they've been teammates. This man, Richard Petty's going all the way around the racetrack, following the Ford car of Buddy Baker. 1 minute he's on his right side, the next minute he's on his left side. Every time he looks in the mirror, Buddy Baker sees the red and blue car of Richard Petty. The sort of pressure the man's going through now is not easily handled. Look at Petty. He's going below him there, then he's tucking in behind him. This is the sort of race behaviour you can see from a man who's confident of winning, a man who knows that perhaps the experience that he's seen and these 171 victories before him could again bring fruition to this race, the 400 that he's never won before.
But he still must pass Buddy Baker. Chris?
The question in my mind, Keith, is why Baker chose right side tires and why Petty chose left side tires. One would think on a track with left-hand turns you would want outside rubber, yet Petty chose the inside rubber. We'll have to wait and see if this is going to be a significant choice.
Remember that Richard Petty will move closer if he can grab victory here. He will take a rather large step toward becoming the first man ever to win $2 million in Grand National Racing. He was the first man to win $1 million. First place in this race figures to be worth more than $17,000, and we're running the clock to give you an idea of how fast they're running these final moments.
Tactics are going to play a big part in these closing laps as usual. Richard Petty's got to decide whether he's going to stay behind Buddy Baker for the remaining laps and then slingshot or draft him on the very last lap. Remember the painful experience he suffered last year from David Pearson. And there he goes underneath. It looks as if he's going to take the lead. But no, he's got trapped a little bit behind the slower car and he's tucking back in again. He's coming side by side. This sort of pressure on Buddy Baker must be unbearable. But he took the lead as they crossed that yellow line.
A little better than 171 miles an hour. 174 miles an hour. Now we're corrected, and Petty making his move. He's got the lead. The question was all along, when would he exercise the option of the slingshot? Did he have extra throttle going? I don't know if he had extra throttle or not, but he handled the drafting situation brilliantly, and the crowd has erupted. Chris?
Well, now the ideal situation here. There's Buddy Baker trying by on the inside as to who is going to be second on the last lap, because that's the place to be. Whoops, right up in front of Petty. And now Petty cuts down with a beautiful handling car to go underneath. Seesaw back and forth, but it's going to come down to the final lap, I should think, Keith.
The sort of tactics they're playing now are really cat and mouse. This is something we're going to see at the end of a motor race, and it's a classical stock car situation. It's going to be a drafting situation that's going to be. Because Buddy Baker, we always felt during this race, had a slight edge in power. This man, Richard Petty, started 13th position. But look how he's extending this lead at this time. We suspected that Buddy Baker had a little bit in hand with power. But my goodness, he's losing a little bit of the advantage that I wouldn't like to have at this time.
But remember, Richard Petty has never won the Firecracker 400. Will he today? Virtually the entire crowd of some 65,000 standing here at the Daytona International Motor Speedway for the final moments of the Firecracker 400. And this man in car number 43 has never won this event, and everybody knows it. And you can see he has built up a huge lead over Buddy Baker. As a matter of fact, Jackie, at this particular point, as they come around for the final lap and the white flag, I think Buddy Baker has just surrendered it.
Yes, it looks like he's slowing down a little bit. He was a little unsteady in the banking there as they get the white flag into the last lap. It seems to me that he's gone a little slower, not Richard, a lot faster.
All right, Richard continuing to go along, just has to finish this lap, and he has knocked down another barrier. Dave Marcus, car number 71, is going to take third place on a good driving job. He's a lap down to the leaders, and fourth is Darrell Waltrip, the youngster who won earlier this year at Nashville, Tennessee. He takes the number 4 spot after experiencing gear troubles earlier, and Donnie Allison will finish in the number 5 position, 2 laps back of the leaders. But from this point on, it is a question of whether or not old Lady Luck is going to help Richard across the finish line. That is not Buddy Baker closing there. That appears to be Donnie Allison, who is 2 laps back of the leader. But Buddy Baker has dropped well off the pace. It's now a matter of what Richard does as he comes off 4, headed for the checkered flag and the finish. Here he comes. He's won the Firecracker 400. Buddy Baker will come on in second, followed by Dave Marcus, Darrell Waltrip, and Donnie Allison. So Petty has finally done it. But let's go back for just a moment, back to a point when momentous decisions were made in this race.
That lap was 1:38. The situation was Buddy Baker was in second place, Petty in third place. Suddenly, Petty whips past Buddy Baker, who slows down. What happened after that made the difference between victory and defeat. Buddy Baker came into the pits. The Bud Moore team decided to change the outside rubber. This is normal because the outside tires would normally overheat, and it was the decision that they thought to be correct. The difference was that the Richard Petty team, when he came into the pits, changed the left side rubber, the inside rubber. This was because he knew that the inside rubber was needed for the groove because he was running high on the racetrack, and this is really what won the race.
Richard, how many years you been trying in the Firecracker?
I don't know, since 59, all except 2 races, and we finally got there.
Finally made it. Richard, you fell back very early today. You stopped early for tires, was it not?
Yeah, but there at last, I run the same speed as what I did at first. I run the same speed all day long. Everybody else just run fast and slow up, and, you know, our car wouldn't run fast, but we could run wide open all the way around the racetrack, and, you know, 179, 180 was fast enough to win the race.
Okay, what was a turning point in the race for you, Richard, do you think? Because you weren't running with the top 8 for a long time.
Well, naturally, when they had that, there was 3 of us in the same lap, and I was in pretty good shape, but then they had a caution, and that put me up there with Pearson and Baker, and I knew then that it would be down to a pit stop because there was no way, no matter how slow I run, that they was going to run enough to lap me. So then it was going to come down to the race to who made a good pit stop, and where it was, Buddy and myself made about the same pit stops, but I changed left side tires and they changed right side tires, and I think that the left side tires just worked a little bit better today and made the car handle.
One last question, Richard. Were you thinking about last year?
Well, till Pearson blew it, and I didn't worry about it no more.
Okay, congratulations. And Richard Petty, finally, since trying from 1959, winner in the Firecracker 400.